A box of these packets stores for years. It stacks flat in a corner of a shelf and takes up almost no room. And it replaces an IV bag you can't get, can't store, and couldn't run even if you had one. That's why it earns its spot. And that's why the people who actually know what they're doing already own a stack of it. Here's the foundation that everything else on this list sits on top of. Bulk white rice and dried beans. The big cheap bags at the end of the aisle. This is the base of the whole pyramid. And it's been proven under real pressure more than once. Go straight back to 2020 for your proof. Dried bean buying jumped around 200% over the year before. 200%. When people got scared, their hands went straight for storable protein. They didn't sit down and plan it out. Pure instinct pointed them at the cheapest calories that actually last. Your body already knows what to reach for. The problem is, so does everyone else's, all at the same time. Understand why these two together are so special. White rice hands you dense, fast energy. Beans hand you protein and fiber. Put them together, and you get a nearly complete set of the building blocks your body needs to keep running. Cultures have survived on that exact pairing for thousands of years. It's not fancy. It's not exciting. It just works, meal after meal after meal, for pennies a serving. That's the definition of a foundation. Now here's a myth I need to break for you, because it's costing people real money every day. Most folks believe survival takes expensive, specialized gear. Fancy freeze-dried buckets, boutique ration kits with a tough-sounding survival brand stamped on the side. That's marketing, and you're the target. The truth runs the other way. The cheap staples and the plain household stuff outlast the expensive kit, and they're the first things to vanish when it actually counts. A $20 bag of rice feeds you longer than a kit that costs 10 times as much. If you want the deeper breakdown on stocking a real reserve without wasting $1, that's exactly what my guide down in the description walks you through. Watch the rookie mistake people make with rice. They grab brown rice because somebody told them it's healthier. Sounds smart. It's a trap. Brown rice still has the natural oils in it, and those oils go rancid inside a year. Your survival food spoils while it's just sitting there. White rice has that oil stripped away. Stored dry and sealed, it lasts a decade or longer. In a reserve, storage life beats a minor nutrition edge every single time. You want those calories to still be good on the day you finally need them, not turned to garbage in the bucket. Storage is where most people blow it, so do this part right. Bags off the shelf aren't your long-term plan. Air and moisture and bugs get in over time. You want it dry and sealed in food-safe containers. Keep it in a cool, dark spot, off the concrete, up on a shelf. Do that, and a $20 bag turns into a decade of calories sitting in reserve. Skip it, and you find weevils in your foundation the year you finally need it. The food's cheap. The discipline to store it right is what actually costs you something. Now tally the value on these two staples. Rice and beans feed you a nearly complete protein base. They stretch every other food you own, turning a single can of chicken into a full meal for the family. They trade well because everyone on earth knows exactly what they are, and they cost almost nothing per serving. This is the item that turns a cabinet full of random odds and ends into an actual survival reserve. So buy it in bulk, seal it up dry, and forget about it until the day it feeds your family. This one's a chemical, and its real job is a secret to almost everybody. Plain unscented liquid bleach, sodium hypochlorite. A jug runs you $2 to $4 at Walmart. It's sold as a cleaning product, but it's actually one of the best emergency water treatments you can buy anywhere, at any price. Here's the number that changes how you see that jug forever. 2 drops of plain unscented bleach per quart of clear water, about 8 drops per gallon. You stir it in, you wait 30 minutes, and questionable water becomes safe to drink. That's the whole protocol. That's it. And it comes straight out of emergency guidance that public agencies have taught for decades. Water that could put you flat on your back turns drinkable for a couple of drops of something you already own. Understand the chemistry, because it tells you why it works and why timing is everything. The active chlorine in the bleach oxidizes and kills the pathogens living in that water. Bacteria and viruses can't survive contact with it. But here's the catch. That same active chlorine breaks down over time, even sitting in the jug. A bottle of bleach loses its punch across roughly 6 months to a year. So the bottle in your closet has a clock ticking on it. Fresh bleach purifies your water. Old bleach just makes it smell like a swimming pool and does nothing. If you don't know that, you could be trusting a dead jug with your life. Now here's where people mess it up at the store, so pay attention. You want plain, unscented bleach and nothing else. Not the scented kind, not the splashless kind, not the color-safe kind. Those have extra chemicals in them that you do not want anywhere near your drinking water. Read the label. It should be regular sodium hypochlorite, plain and simple. And when you use it, do it with airflow. Never mix it with other cleaners. This is a tool, and like any tool, it hurts you if you handle it wrong. Here's why this matters more than people think. Bad water doesn't just upset your stomach. It hands you the illness that dehydrates you, and dehydration is one of the fastest killers there is in a crisis. A stomach bug from dirty water can put a grown adult down in days. So this cheap jug and those rehydration packets from earlier work as a team. The bleach stops you getting sick in the first place. The packets pull you back if you do. Skip the bleach, and you're leaning on the packets to save you from a fight you never had to start. Clean water first. Always. Look at what civilians spend their money on instead. They drop real cash on a dedicated water filter. Sometimes a genuinely good one. Often an overpriced gadget with a survival label slapped on the box. Now, there's nothing wrong with owning a filter. But they skip the 99-cent chemical that does the core job of killing pathogens. And here's the math they never run. One little jug treats hundreds of gallons of water. That's a cost per gallon a boutique filter can't come close to touching. You can own both. But if you only grab one thing today, the cheap jug does the killing. Count the functions on this single bottle. It disinfects your drinking water, the big one. It sanitizes surfaces so illness doesn't rip through your group. It cleans down the area around a wound so infection doesn't set in. And it handles your laundry and general cleanup when staying clean is what keeps you healthy. That's 4 survival jobs out of a cleaning product that people walk right past on their way to the expensive stuff. So buy it fresh, write the date on it, rotate it out before the chlorine fades. It's quietly the most valuable $2 you'll spend in that entire building. Now the one this audience already expects, and it earns its place anyway. Rimfire ammunition. The .22 long rifle. Small, cheap, and quietly getting harder to find. When it's actually in stock, it runs you around 10 to 12 cents a round. Here's what's happening to the supply, and it's a mixed picture. Rimfire's mostly made right here at home. So the tariffs hit it less than the imported calibers do. That's the good news for you. But here's the problem. The manufacturers keep reporting trouble getting the priming chemicals they need. And the market never rebuilt the cushion it lost back in 2020. The stock just never fully came back. So a demand spike empties the shelf fast, and it stays empty a long time. You've seen a bare ammo shelf before. You'll see it again, and sooner than you think. Understand why a veteran values this little round so much. It's got nothing to do with firepower. It's about utility per dollar. The .22 is the pure workhorse, low cost, low recoil, so anyone in your family can shoot it. And it's quiet compared to the big calibers, which matters more than people realize. In a bad situation, noise draws attention you don't want. You can carry hundreds of rounds without even feeling the weight in your pack. It puts small game in the pot. It handles pests around your property, and it lets you actually train without burning through the expensive stuff every time. Look at the pattern most civilians fall into. They chase the dramatic centerfire calibers and hoard those. They ignore the humble .22 completely. Then a shortage hits, and suddenly the cheap trainable round is the one nobody on earth can find. The trained approach is the opposite. You hold a deep stock of the round you'll actually shoot the most. Practice ammo is preparation. Skill is what keeps you alive, and skill comes from rounds sent downrange. Ammo you can't afford to fire isn't preparation. It's just a heavy paperweight you're afraid to touch. Now think about depth, because one box isn't a stock. This round is cheap enough that you can hold real quantity without breaking the bank. That's the entire point of it. A few hundred rounds lets you train and still keep a working reserve. Store it cool and dry, same as everything else, and it lasts for years without complaint. Buy a little extra every time it's on the shelf and priced right. You barely notice the cost each trip. But over a year, you've quietly built a stock that most people can only wish they had once the shelf goes bare. Stack the uses on this one round. It feeds a rifle for small game hunting, so it puts food on the table. It runs your training so your skills stay sharp. It handles pest and predator control around a homestead. And it's one of the most barterable objects there is once the trucks stop running. Everyone recognizes it. Everyone wants it. A brick of 22 trades like straight currency in a world without a working store. So don't wait for the panic to start shopping. You build the stock while it's boring and the shelf is still full. Now stop and look hard at what you've actually built so far, because it's a lot more than a shopping list now. You've locked in vitamin C and fast calories with the concentrate. You've got shelf-stable protein with the cans. You've got fever and pain control with the medicine. You've got a field treatment for dehydration with the salts. You've got a real calorie base with the rice and beans. You've got safe drinking water with the bleach. And now you've got a food gathering and defense tool with the 22. 7 items in. Food, medical, water, and security. That's a genuine survival system taking shape, and you built it out of things the crowd walks right past. This next pick you've already watched empty out with your own 2 eyes. N95 respirators and disinfecting wipes, the masks and the canisters of wipes, cheap, compact, and first to disappear every single time the world gets scary. Go back to the tape from 2020. Wipes and masks weren't just early to sell out. They were the very first things gone off the shelf. Before the food, before the paper goods. That shelf sat completely bare while everything else in the store still looked totally normal. That's not a rumor. That's documented fact. And the supply chain hasn't gotten one bit sturdier since then. If anything, the same tariff and shipping pressure that's hitting everything else has made it more fragile. Understand the real range of threats these things cover, because it's a lot wider than one virus. A disease outbreak, obviously, but also wildfire smoke that chokes the air for weeks at a time, dust and fine debris kicked up after a storm or a building collapse, mold spores when you're clearing out a room that flooded. A real respirator filters the fine particles that a folded cloth scrap can't stop. That's the difference between protected lungs and a chest slowly filling up with whatever's floating in that air. Your lungs don't get a second chance once the damage is done. Here's the detail people skip, and it's the one that actually matters. A respirator only works if it seals. A mask hanging loose off your face is doing almost nothing. It has to fit snug against your skin all the way around, so the air you breathe goes through the filter instead of around the edges. So when you buy, you get the ones that seal to your face, and you make sure they fit every adult in the house. A cloth scrap over the nose feels like protection. It isn't. The seal is the whole thing. And think about depth here, because these aren't forever items. A good respirator gets used up. It clogs, it gets dirty, the seal wears out over time. So one mask per person isn't a plan. You want a real stack of them, enough to swap out over days or weeks of bad air. The wipes run out fast too, faster than you'd guess when everyone's cleaning constantly. They're cheap enough that this costs you almost nothing today. So don't grab a single box and call it done. You grab a supply that actually lasts the length of the event you're preparing for. Look at the timing mistake nearly everyone makes. They wait until the outbreak or the fire is already on the news to go looking. And that's the exact moment the shelf is already stripped bare. Think about the logic there. The whole point of a respirator is that you own it before the event, not during it.